Hi, we are back on the Silverfox Hustle podcast. This is the second episode of 2023, and as usual, we've got a great guest on the show today. And but before that, don't forget to click on the follow button on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts. We're everywhere, so share the love. Now, today we have a special guest in the show. He is the midfield workhorse of Tanjong Pagar United FC. He's Australian Uruguayan, and you can never miss him because of his absolutely brilliant locks. Welcome to the Silverfox Hustle podcast, Blake Ricciuto.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's been a long time.
Yes.
I've always wanted to have you in, but things seem to always get in the way. But finally, we're here. Thanks for coming in. Let's talk a little bit about preseason with Tanjong Pagar.
Look, first of all, thank you for having me on the podcast. I've seen a lot of the podcasts, and it's actually a pleasure to be here. With all those big names that have been here, so good. Preseason with Tanjong Pagar, so it's been good. It's been intense, and so we've been doing a few double sessions as well, getting in the gym. It's quite a new team, I think, so we've got a lot of new players and trying to adapt to a style, so we're just getting the information in. The coaches are getting the information to their head, and obviously getting the kilometers under the belt by doing a few runs and yo-yo tests and along those lines. So
mate, I've always hated preseason. It's the worst part, but also the most important part, I feel.
Well, do you think? Look, I'll ask you a question. Do you think? Do you think that when you have a good preseason, it's probably the best season you've ever had?
Yeah, true.
That's how I look at it.
Very true.
I feel like when I have a good preseason, it sets the base. It sets the the foundations for you to go on and have a good season. Hopefully injury free, or along those lines. We're doing a lot of strength work, which is good. There's a lot of parts of preseason that we absolutely hate and we're complaining.
What is the worst for you in your?
I think some of the gym sessions are quite tough this year, and the runs, but it needs to be done, so you just get it done at the end of the day.
Like a good old pro, we don't complain, we just do. Yeah, exactly. Now, mate, let's go back all the way. You were born in Australia.
Correct.
and your dad is
Uruguayan.
Uruguayan, right? So, which part of Australia were you born in? And talk a little bit about your family.
So, I was born in Sydney.
Okay.
So, in Botany, the mascot area right near the airport. And my dad is born in Uruguay, but he migrated to Australia at the age of 12. So I'd say he's more Australian than Uruguayan at this moment of time.
Nice.
So, growing up in Sydney was great. I went.
You had siblings?
I have an older brother, Daniel. So he's 33. So he's 33, an older brother. So my mum's Australian. So that's where I get the curls from, my mum.
I wanted to ask you that. So this is natural.
Natural.
Born like this.
Yeah. If you see my mum, it's a splitting image.
Yeah.
Like
and your brother?
My brother, if he grows it out, but he cuts it short. So,
So you, when is the last time you kept it short?
When I was in Uruguay playing football.
And that was a long time ago.
That was in 2014 or 15.
Okay.
Yeah, 2015 was the last time I actually had it short.
Nice.
So and then I just let it grow, and now it's kind of like a trademark.
Yeah, it's a trademark, man.
Sometimes I tie my hair up to play, and people say, "Oh, where's Blake today?" So I can't tie it up anymore.
How does it go with the ladies, my friend?
Oh, it has its good things. So,
lovely. Now, how was school for you? Were you the studious type, or you just football?
I'd say I wasn't the
worst.
the worst, and not the best.
Right.
But I with the studies, it kind of like I had to work hard, and I tried my best.
Okay.
And but football was a very big part. At the age of, in high school, at the age of 15, 16, I was already which would be NPL 1, so the second division of Australia, the first grade team.
Yep.
So I was getting minimal amount of money per week.
Yeah.
It wasn't pro, it was semi-pro, but it was kind of like, okay, you're 15, 16, you're here with these men. I was trying to focus more on that, but at the same time, I'd finish my studies and do.
Were there other sports that you were good in, you excelled in?
I was good, but I was all right at rugby league.
Yeah.
But coming from a Uruguayan father, he wouldn't allow me to play it. So yeah.
No, this football bit, was it because of your dad? Did it come naturally to you, or did you just picked it up because? But I do know that Australians are very good at sports in general. They're physical.
Yeah, well, so I was always the sporty type. All my friends, we play cricket, basketball, whatever we could play.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing, or I feel like from my dad's background, my grandparents always being such passionate football supporters, with always following Uruguay. When Uruguay was on, we were watching Uruguay, their hometown club of Peñarol, we were watching them. And I think and then I saw my brother at a young age playing football. And then I said to mum and dad, I want to play.
Yeah.
So kind of like, it was more of their love for football, and I saw it and I was like, okay, I want to do this as well, kind of thing.
Growing up, were your heroes, football heroes, Uruguayan or Australian? Or
I'd say a mixture.
Yeah.
So at first I'd probably, obviously, being a midfielder, and back in those days I was really enjoyed watching Steven Gerrard, for example. But I used to watch Uruguay and Australia had the famous game to play against each other,
the playoff,
World Cup,
playoff.
To make it the World Cup.
Yep.
And at that time, I never went to Uruguay, so I was supporting Australia.
Right.
And and it was a great moment. But my dad was stuck in two minds. But I don't say I don't have a favoritism. So yeah.
And when you were growing up in school and start playing football and stuff, were you always a midfielder or
No.
You striker?
When I was younger striker, and then when I was around 15, 16, I was a right back.
Okay.
So I started playing as a right back.
Okay.
And then when I moved to Uruguay, one of the coaches moved me into centre mid, and from then I never looked back.
Right.
So yeah.
You obviously have all the attributes of a central midfielder, the box to box kind. You fit as hell, and that's great. It probably fits you perfectly as well.
I feel like it does. Maybe the fact that I was a right back, I broke through first grade at the age of 15 in Australia for St George, so maybe wasn't ready to play such a pivotal role as a centre midfielder, and maybe they had me there as a right back. I'm not too sure, but after that transition, I felt very comfortable. So yeah.
I think lots have been said, or I've been reading stuff about you when you were in Australia and stuff, growing up, in football and stuff like that. And you weren't really successful in terms of trying to get a club. Pushing on, maybe getting that final cut and what have you. Why was that so? Why do you think it was so?
Yeah, so to be honest, my career as a footballer hasn't very been straightforward, as you know. Even at younger ages, I wasn't really the best in the teams. I didn't really make the state squads. I didn't make the schoolboys team. But I always had this feeling that I was good enough. Whether it be my footballing ability or something. I don't know what the decision was, but there was always something that said, I'm good, I'm maybe even better than these players. Why aren't I in the team? And I don't know why. When I was young, I was a bit shorter, and one coach said to me, "Oh, you're too short, you're not physical enough." Things like that.
Were
at
you?
a younger age. I was a little bit short, but I don't know if I wasn't physical enough, You've seen me play. That's probably one of my main attributes.
Right.
And but after that, even playing in the semi-pro level, I still couldn't get an A-League squad or things like that. So
it must have put a dampener on an average person, just growing up trying to make the grade, and there you were trying very hard, and you just and you never gave up.
Yeah, I have a very vivid moment before I went to Uruguay. I remember I was actually walking on the street. I was actually going for a run one day. I think I was maybe 17. And I was breaking through, and I never had an A-League, and I just started crying. I kind of thought, I said, oh my God, I said, maybe I'm not going to be a professional. Maybe the dream of at the moment, no A-League clubs calling, nothing. And I just started, I remember it's a vivid moment that I have right now. I know exactly where I was at that moment. And then I think from that day, I kind of started, saying, no, you just keep pushing. Something's going to come through. And that's when I kind of made decisions to maybe go abroad, you know what I mean?
Do you have a backup plan? Besides, I'm not talking about backup plan in terms of going to another country to try out. I'm talking about a backup plan outside of football. This is a big thing in Singapore, by the way.
That's
a backup
right.
plan.
Yeah, look, I feel like I've got a lot of tools maybe that I could do. at the age of 17 or 18, all I wanted to do was play football.
Yeah.
Even though at the time, at 18, I did get a job in Australia and I was working, but the job I got was through football. Okay. My teammate, his mum was the boss of a bank at Westpac, and they said, "Oh, do you want a job?" And I was like, "Oh, my parents were pushing, get a job. You need a job." And I said, "All right." Honestly, I didn't know what I was doing at the bank. I was at a Westpac bank, doing back stuff in a computer, sending emails, doing
in a shirt and a pants.
Shirt and a pants, every day, 9 to 5.
Yeah.
So that's when the kind of transition was, okay, I'm going to save up money and I'm going to go over to Uruguay and follow my dream. I realized in that moment I needed to do that to realize that's not what I want.
Now this is a great sec because you just said it. You just packed your bags.
Yeah.
Just like that, and you decided, let's try, and this is it.
Yeah. It's kind of a little bit crazy now that I look back and think about it and said, oh, it took a lot to do that. I didn't speak Spanish.
And it's only and I'm talking about the country, right? It's only because your dad.
Well, that's right, yeah, because I had family there and cousins, my dad's cousins, not even brothers, my dad's an only child. But I kind of knew, okay, if I wanted to stay there, I have accommodation at least. There's contacts within Uruguay. It's a footballing powerhouse. There's a lot of clubs. Yeah. So it's kind of based along those lines because if I were to go to any other country, it would have been very difficult. And not only football, if not, the idea was to go see where my dad was born as well, my grandparents. Yeah. But the main issue was football. Yeah, right. So I said, I'm going to do it. And it was wild.
It's so many things here to talk about, especially with going there, you don't know the language. So you only spoke English.
Yeah.
And you went there without... Spanish is the first.
Spanish is the Uruguayan's first language.
So, what was your first impression of Uruguay? It's only a nation of what 3.5 million.
3.5 million. The country is a big culture shock coming from a first world country to Australia, then going to Uruguay. Yeah. It did take a while to get used to and for me to feel comfortable. But after a while, I had my cousins were there and things like that, and they were very, very, the Uruguayan South Americans, they're very happy, they're very loving, they're very caring. So, and someone coming from Australia, they were like, oh, we'll do everything for you. Yeah. So that was a very big part in helping me over in Uruguay was the family.
Nice.
But Uruguay, the language was hard. They didn't speak English, my family. So we'd sit down and have dinner. And I don't know, hand signals. I was just going through. I said, "Oh, I have to learn, otherwise, I won't get by."
But the people are friendly and
very friendly.
Beautiful places as well.
Yeah, very beautiful places, very friendly.
And football is the number one sport.
Football is the number.
They're crazy.
Crazy. Football over there, you can tell it's different.
At that time, who was the top player in
Diego Forlan.
Forlan. All right. Was he already at Man U or?
He was he was already at Atletico Madrid.
Right. Okay.
And then it was 2012, so I think he would have went to Inter Milan around that stage. They just won the Copa America, Uruguay.
Yeah.
So it was around that stage, and it was just crazy after the South Africa World Cup as well. So,
let me ask you this: do you think things would have been different if you had been born in Uruguay? In terms of career, maybe, because
I think it's just very hard to kind of think about it. But in Uruguay, you have a look, and everyone wants to be a footballer. Every young boy, and the way out sometimes of poverty, the way out for families is becoming a footballer.
Survival, isn't it?
Yeah. Some of you see that, and when I first arrived, it's like, oh, this guy's trying to take our position. He's trying to take our food. And it wasn't easy trying to integrate with the players already in that team, They'll look at you, an Australian coming in, trying to take my position. So it wasn't easy, but once they get to know you and they see that side, they're very loving people and they you get along with them very well.
Nice.
But I don't know, because it's a small country of 3.5 million, but there's a lot of people wanting to play football. Everyone wants to be a professional footballer.
Right. It's really survival there.
Everyone wants to be it's crazy. It's kind of crazy.
And how was football like? So you went there and you tried with a couple of clubs, obviously. Again, it's not straightforward. No. Getting rejected and stuff like that. And one was Club Atletico Penarol.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was it like?
So so before Peñarol, I was at a club called Danubio where Cavani and players like that had come through. And once again, I was there for a long time, and I was there 2 months trialing, and they said yes.
Okay.
I called my parents. I remember the day again. I called my parents. What was happening? 2 days later, they said, "Look, we can't do it."
What?
There was reasons behind that. The guy that got me the trial was having a fight with someone, and the whole world broke down. And then my dad's friend called me and said, "Look, I can get you a trial at Peñarol, which is the biggest club in Uruguay, and that my grandparents and my dad are all supporters of." And I said, "Oh, okay, I can't say no."
What was the age?
I was just 19,
Right.
so I was 19.
Okay.
Turning 20, and it was in the reserves, so underneath the first grade, so the under 23s. And the first trial was nerve-wracking, obviously, with the team of that magnitude. And then when I came to the trials, they decided they were going to sign me, so that was in a reserves player. And I did have various training sessions with the first grade, which was an unbelievable experience. Yeah, and obviously the coach that I had was Paolo Montero.
Legend.
So
Juventus
legend, Uruguay captain. So he was the one. He came in when I was trialing, and he decided to sign me.
Nice.
So that was a very good experience to play underneath someone of his caliber, but such a down to earth guy.
Listen, and when you went there, and obviously now just looking back, right? Because now you had the opportunity to experience different cultures and different football styles as well. Just in terms of footballing style, right?
Yeah.
What was it like? The difference between Uruguay and Singapore in terms of football, not standards, but the style of play.
I feel like every play, every ball is in Uruguay. It's like you have to just give it your all.
Right.
There's no, even if it's just like a tackle on the sideline, you don't back out. You have to give 100% in that sort of. But I feel like players, they're very skillful. They're very the 1v1s. Like sometimes they'd rather nutmeg you than score a goal.
Okay.
Along those lines, they'd rather humiliate you than for themselves scoring a goal.
Right.
And kind of that, I was like, oh, they're 1-on-1 with the keeper, and they'll come and they'll put it through your legs, and you're like, oh, that sort of thing that you say, oh, okay. So there's a word called in Spanish called picardia, which they call, or it's like it's kind of like that, like. To humiliate,
trying to take the mickey out.
Yeah, trying to take the mickey out, and they try to do it all the time. And that's how they, I guess,
It's a cultural thing. It's a.
I think it's a South American way.
South American way. Yeah.
So yeah.
Wow.
And obviously the famous, they call it la garra, is like the famous always give it your all.
Okay.
In Uruguay, that was when I got there. I remember first training session I was watching. It was like they were playing like a World Cup final. They used to celebrate at training when they scored. They used to play football, tennis. And they'd celebrate like like it was just different.
It's the passion.
It's the passion. And it happens at training. There was guys that would celebrate like really loudly and scream like they were at training, and I was like a bit, I was taken upon by it. I was like, oh, wow, this is different.
Nice. Then came Canadian SC in the Uruguayan second division.
Yeah, that was another great experience. Different with infrastructure and things like that. With the second division isn't quite with the best infrastructure or training fields or even playing fields. Back in that time, it wasn't the greatest, but it was good for me to get some first time and get some experience playing in a pro league, second division in Uruguay. I played about 30 games or 20 the whole season. Yeah. So that was a good move for me, actually.
So with all this happening, right? And at which point you already thought that I think I've not made it in terms of winning everything, the league and whatnot, but I'm a professional footballer. I'm.
I think that the moment that I signed with Peñarol, I think that was one of the more vivid. Like, okay,
Okay.
You're at a big institution that's known worldwide.
Yeah.
You've made it, kind of thing. But I wasn't there as like, okay, now you can relax. No, I just wanted to keep pushing to go try and get first grade and things like that. Then the second division, I was like, okay, this is also a good step into where I want to be.
Yeah,
it's kind of like I haven't made it, but the direction is going quite well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So obviously with Canadian SC, and then you went back to Rockdale.
Well, look, I went back because I had a trial with Sydney FC.
Yeah.
And once again,
how did this happen? Like you in Uruguay, and then how did this happen?
Well, I had a first division side in Uruguay interested in me, and another top team in second division.
Yeah.
And then one agent called me from Australia, and he said, "Look, I can get you a trial, a 3-week trial in Sydney FC." And it's hard to say no to your hometown and to the biggest club.
Were you homesick, by the way?
In the A-League. I don't think I ever got homesick. At the first stages when I went to Uruguay for the first time, maybe for the first 2 months, it was a little bit homesick. But when you're at a big institution like Peñarol or playing football every day, it's kind of hard to get homesick.
And by then you already know Spanish.
That's right.
Yeah,
within 4 months I picked it up.
Wow.
Yeah, so
lovely.
I didn't really get homesick. But then I said, okay, Sydney FC, my hometown, biggest club in the A-League. Graham Arnold, great coach, now he's there. I said, I'll give it a crack. Like, you never know when you're going to get this opportunity again. So I was there for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I did really well. I'll tell you if I did really well or not, But I did really well, even Graham Arnold. But at the end of the day, he said to me, Blake, we've got too many midfielders. He said, but in any other A-League club, you'd be able to play. But at that time, I couldn't get any contacts. I couldn't get a trial. I couldn't get anything. So then I even asked Graham. I said, Graham, what do you suggest? Do I go back to Uruguay, or should I play in the second division MPL in Australia? Yeah. He said, look, there's a lot of players coming from MPL going to the A-League. If you do well in the MPL, surely an A-League club will pick you up. And then Rockdale got in contact with me. And then
there's success there, actually, in personally as well.
At Rockdale.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was great. It was a great stint there, and you were Player of the Year twice.
Yep.
And Team of the Year as well.
Twice. Yeah, I was there 3 years.
Yeah.
I think the first 2 years I got Player of the Year twice, and then the first year and the third year I got Team of the Year in the league in the MPL.
Wow.
So I love the club, and I did really well. The league was good. It's a good level. But once again, we even had an FFA Cup, like they call it the Australia Cup, which is kind of like the FA Cup. We played against Sydney FC. Did really well again. A lot of articles out. I think I was named top 10 players outside the A-League at one stage. Yeah. And at the end of the day, football's an opinion-based game. So it's very, I don't hold a grudge really against people in Australia or the Australian football or anything like that. It's just how it's meant to be, I guess.
And it's weird. It's really weird. And you think about it, and in terms of players coming up from the MPL and stuff like that, and trying to make it into the A-League sides, and you didn't, and it's Player of the Year twice as well. And you just think about it, and are there any regrets now? Just looking back at why couldn't, not regrets because of your fault, but any regrets not making it there?
To be honest, I'm not sure, because I feel like that happening kind of guided to me where I am today.
Of course.
And in that sort of sense, there's all the experience I'm having currently, or that I've had in my career and things like that. I don't think I'd ever change it. But at the same time, sometimes there's, you think back and you said, how didn't it happen? Like, how didn't I get from this stage to there? I know I can do it. Yeah. Kind of like that. I got a taste in my kind of like, I just, hopefully, or not hopefully, but I wish one day maybe I could just do it, just get it done with, so I can say I've done it. But at the end of the day, as I said, there's no regrets. I'm quite grateful for that happening, that I am where I am today.
Now, obviously, from then on, in 2019, you went to Brunei DPMM. How did that move come about? Brunei of all places.
This is a funny story.
Yeah.
it was my third year at Rockdale, and as you said, player of the year and all that. And I started to get a little bit frustrated. I said, I want to go back to playing full time. Because this is semi-professional. Even though, economically it's quite good. I was even coaching on the side, which I enjoyed. I said, I want to go back to full time. So what I did, I put a video together myself. I was there watching all my games, put a video together. I put a resume, and I had all these agents on Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp, and I just sent it, bang, bang, bang. And I said to them, look, I'll pay for my flights, my accommodation. All I need is a trial. Yeah. I just need a trial. Anywhere you can get, I just get a trial. So then one guy got back to me that I met in Uruguay, and he said, look, I can get you a trial in Brunei. And I had to look it up. I said, he says, but they play in the Singapore Premier League. You have to go there for 2 weeks. And he says, but on the second week, you can't attend because I got you a trial in the United States. Okay. And I said, oh, okay. So I went to, I had to get my flights and whatever. And I got there and I went to Brunei. And in Brunei, I don't know if you know, they do an open trial. Okay. So there was 22 players from different countries.
For foreigners? Only foreigners? Ah.
So there are 3 foreign spots. 22 people, England, Ukraine.
And what? They played like 2 sides? Really?
11v11.
Okay.
11v11.
Right. With goalkeepers, as in goalkeepers were also on trial.
No, the local goalkeepers and that because they weren't looking for local goalkeepers.
Right.
So they were looking for 3 foreigners. There's from Sierra Leone, Africa, South Africa, like all over the world. Yeah. And 11v11, overwatched by the committee members, the Crown Prince, and the coaching staff.
Who was the head coach then? I can't remember.
Adrian Pennick.
Yeah,
he's still there today. They're back in the league, and he'll be right. Yeah, very good experience to play under Pennick as well. Very good. And so I was there for the first week, and I couldn't do the second week trial because I was going to United States, to Tampa Bay in the USL for a trial. And so it was 11v11, just games practically the whole time. And then after that I went straight from Brunei to Sydney, and then Sydney, I didn't even stay a night in Sydney. I went straight to Tampa Bay on trial at Tampa Bay. And then I was in Tampa Bay. It was only a 3-day trial at Tampa Bay. Then Tampa Bay sat me down. Oh no, I got an email from Brunei saying, look, we want to sign you. Wow. So I had to go talk to the coach at Tampa Bay. I said, look, what on the third day I said, look, he says, no, we want to sign you as well. And then I just weighed up the options, and I said, Asia, Singapore, it's going to be. So I went with Brunei, and yeah.
So they signed the 3 players. You,
Varankov, and Clough, Charlie Clough.
Charlie Clough. Is Charlie Clough still?
He's playing in Thailand. Ah. Yeah.
He was a centre back, isn't he?
Centre back, great footballer.
Yeah.
Great footballer.
And Varankov, what a striker!
Yeah,
what a striker!
We're coming up against him this year, so it should be a good battle again.
What was Brunei like, by the way? I want to ask. I haven't been there, by the way.
Oh, you have? Oh, okay.
I haven't been there. It's not a criticism, but is it as boring as people say it?
I feel like they say, this even the locals, when I first arrived. One of the local drivers said to me, "Welcome to the fishbowl." I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "Oh, there's no entertainment." Okay. So, but I feel like once you start to get, you live there and you start to get to see what things are good about Brunei. There are a lot of things that you can do there. Okay. I really enjoyed my time there.
Nice.
And I'm looking forward to going back to play there actually when we have
and listen, I don't know. I don't think you would have any regrets choosing Brunei over Tampa.
No regrets at all.
And obviously the first season you won it. You won the league, and you were in team of the year as well for Brunei. And that was probably the first time I saw you play. That was the first time I saw you play. And again, what stood out was your hair, first of all. And then it was the, just the midfield bite in the middle of the park. It was great. And obviously powered by Andre's goals, right? And what was the standard of football there like? What is it like? Are there clubs there? And apart, obviously Brunei is a different... what were the other clubs there?
So there's DPMM, and then Brunei have their own, the Brunei League.
Right.
But the Brunei League is not a professional league. Okay. So it's semi-professional. But there are a lot of I think there might be. We didn't really get to see too much of it. The under 23s or under 21s. I'm not sure at that when it was. The DPM under 21s would play in that league.
Yeah.
And versus the other local sides in that league.
Right.
And they play. But there's a lot of big interest in football in Brunei. You see when the national team plays, when DPM plays, they get a bit of a backing. And there are some very good players coming up, and even in those other clubs, there's a lot of good players as well.
Right.
So yeah, nice. It's just that it's just such a small country that you know what I mean.
True.
So yeah,
even the stadium, the national stadium there is like the Singapore national stadium of old. Exactly the same. It's a carbon copy.
Oh, is it?
The old national stadium. Exactly the same.
I've never seen the old national stadium of Singapore.
Yeah, just Google it. The old. I don't know whether you can Google that, but I think it's exactly the same. Carbon copy.
It's a very nice stadium, the Brunei one. We used to enjoy playing
with a track at the.
Yeah. But they are it's a fortress for them.
Yeah, true.
It's a fortress for them.
What do you think of their chances this season?
I think they're always in for a chance.
The local players are the same. I haven't looked at
the majority are, from what I've seen, the majority are the same. Varankov's back.
Yeah.
And I think they've signed a few other foreigners. But yeah, most of I'm looking forward to seeing the local boys. I haven't seen them in a while, so it should be good.
Yeah, it's like a reunion, right? Nice. Well, Blake, let's talk about Singapore, right? And then Tanjong Pagar, obviously. Where you signed, obviously, for Tanjong Pagar. A team where at that time, and even now, I mean, if you can think about it, right, with a tight budget, what were your goals when you signed for Tanjong Pagar? Who made the first move? Like, as in, who approached you?
So actually, I think from what I remember, Fandi, he called me and he said, "Look, Alam Shah has taken Tanjong Pagar. Here's his number," and Alam Shah called me or something along those lines. And when I spoke with Alam Shah, from the first time I spoke with him, I kind of knew how he was, and I was on board.
Right.
It was quite...
This was on the phone?
Yeah, on the phone.
Yeah.
The first conversation I had with Alam Shah was like, "Oh, this sounds unbelievable. I'm on board."
Yeah.
And I had watched a few of their games of the first season that they were in the league. And even though they didn't get a win and they didn't get any results, I kind of could see what they were about, and I could see where Alam Shah and their club were building to. And my goal, obviously, I don't think in my mentality, there's no player that goes into a league or a team thinking they cannot win it. After what Leicester City could do or anything along those lines,
right?
I feel like. And we had some good signings, Ryo Nishiguchi, Cairo Amri. Yeah. So there was a lot of, and some good Farits at that time as well. So I had a look at that and said, "Oh, we're in for a chance. We're in for a chance." Junior, the Brazilian forward as well.
Right.
So at that time, I thought, okay, we could shake a few. Obviously, it's not going to be straightforward because it's a new team, new club. There's still maybe some teething problems and things like that. But I think from now, thinking back, it's one of the best decisions I've made.
Lovely. In last year in 2022, you guys punched above your weight in a way, and many critics and pundits, including myself, thought that, hang on a minute, after a while, they're gonna slip because of maybe injuries, squad depth, lack of rather, and stuff like that. Many things, right? And then. Okay, you guys did falter a little bit. You finished 6 out of 8. But having said that, you were only 2 points away from Geylang.
Yes.
2 points away from Geylang, who were 4th.
Yeah.
So it's about the first 2, first 3, and then the gap is huge.
Yeah.
So do you think, having made the start that you guys made, you could have gone a little bit higher?
Look, it's funny because a lot of people say that we kind of, those first 8 games or whatever, we kind of punched above, but we kind of knew that we that's where our level is. That's what we're up to. We can do that, and we've shown, even though after that it was kind of ups and downs. I think we've showed in many games that we can turn it on. We can fight with amongst everyone else. I think the suspensions and a few injuries did cost us a lot, to some key players as well, which was difficult at the time. And if we get, so I think, say for example, there's a game that we drew against Hougang, they drew in the 90th minute.
Yeah.
If we go on and to win that game, we're fourth, and it's kind of a whole different outlook. That
True.
Tanjong Pagar finished fourth, so at the moment you finish sixth, maybe it's not the best season, but just that, that's the details that you kind of look at and say we could have finished fourth. But I think there's a belief in the camp that those 8 games, that's where we should be at. Not the last back end kind of thing. That's where we should be at. That's the belief of our team. So yeah.
How has Singapore treated you so far? This is your third year? Your third year. How has it been so far? Personally, for you, when you first came down, and obviously you came down with Brunei before. Yeah. But just 2 days, 3 days?
2 days every second week or something. Yeah. So yeah, my third year living in Singapore, 4th year in the league, right?
Right.
First year was quite difficult outside of football because COVID restrictions.
Yeah.
We could only the coffee shops weren't open. You could only get takeaway. Yeah. That was quite difficult, and there was no crowds and things like that. But now I'm enjoying it so much. It's been great, and I'm loving Singapore. Well, obviously, last season and the season before with my good friend Ryo Nishiguchi, we do a lot together. So
you'll miss him.
Yeah, I'll miss him. Yeah.
What a season he had, man.
What a player.
Yeah.
What a player.
And he wasn't even a striker before this. He played out wide. Not a real...
No, well, see, he was out wide, but then Alam Shah groomed him and said, I'm going to teach you how to play number 9.
How's Alam Shah, by the way?
Very good.
Yeah?
Yeah, probably the main reason I'm at Tanjong Pagar, to be honest.
Yeah?
Yeah. He works very well.
Yeah. And he's very... very into details.
Oh,
because I spoke to him about certain things on off air as well. And he's just like, how was that? I'm like thinking, what's he talking about?
Yeah,
as in things that you don't think about usually.
Yeah, and then it makes you think about it.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's some things that he says at training, and he says it, and then you look at it and you're like, oh, he's right.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. So there's a lot of details that you think he can see that maybe other people cannot see.
How's Hasrin?
Oh, he's good as well.
Yeah.
I feel like that is the main reason why I'm still kind of, the coaching staff, we train at 6:30 in the morning, and I love going to training. I hate my days off.
Yeah.
I don't want to have days off. They say, oh, tomorrow we got a day off. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
We go out there, it's good. They train us hard, but I think they know the balance.
Yeah.
To when we can joke around, maybe, after training and things like that, or when we need you to listen and work hard. And I think that's one thing that I have to commend them with is that is on point.
What is the club's goals this season?
To be honest, we haven't really spoke about the club's goals.
Yeah.
Obviously, on a personal note, I'm hoping that the club's goals is to aim high.
What's high?
As I could say, I'd love to be champion again. I'd love to lift that trophy. That'd be my personal. And I think the club knows that there's a chance.
Okay.
Whether it be slim, they know there's a chance.
Right.
And I think a top 3 or lifting a trophy this year will be good.
A cup, one of the cups, yeah.
Yeah. So that's what we're aiming for, and I think this year we have the squad to do so.
What is so special about Tanjong Pagar? I think you spoke a little bit about that with the coaching staff and stuff. But I feel personally, there's something special that it's you guys are always together no matter what.
Yeah.
Obviously you got your losses last season, some major ones, big defeats. I mean, but still, you guys came back, and you guys are a tight unit. Is that right?
I feel like no, everyone asks me the same question. They ask a lot of people the same question, and it's very hard to pinpoint something. And sometimes I go back and think about it. It's one of the most unite teams I've ever actually played in, and obviously another big reason why I'm here is because I get along so well with every single one of the players. There's no little cliques, and I was kind of thinking why is it like that, and it could be down to there's a lot of players that previously were without clubs, got released by their previous clubs, my case hasn't been the smoothest of runs in football. A lot of players have gone through a lot of hardships, but now that all of that we're all together at Tanjong Pagar, and to be honest, I think everyone will just fight for everyone, and that's the best thing about it. Like, it's not like, the people on the bench, he's not playing. No, they all want everyone to do well.
Nice.
Last season, Ryo Nishiguchi, for example, we were fighting for him to get the leading goal scorer. Everyone wanted it. Everyone wanted it. Everyone wanted it. So I think that's something special about the team that we have. So yeah.
Beautiful. You spoke a little bit just now about the football, the style of football in terms of standards wise, right? If you compare Australia, Uruguay, and Singapore, obviously, what's the standards like? How huge is the gulf?
So I feel the thing is, it's very hard to pinpoint something with when they ask this question. I feel like there's a lot of in Australia physically they're very strong, fit. They run all day up and down. That is something that you can see in Australian footballers and things like that.
They never give up.
They never give up. They never give up. In Uruguay, you can see that it's just a different desire, different passion. But with style wise, they love the 1v1. They love always with the ball and things like that. Singapore, I feel like Singapore has a lot of good things, and I feel like it's growing. Since the first time in 2019 of here, I feel like there's a lot of very good players. I feel like that the gap, I think it's just the fact that there's so many there's not many teams, and I think economically there's a lot of players that decide to go on different avenues, whether to stick it with football because it's not the main focus. There's players that have an extra job outside of football, because if you see even in Uruguay, the people are training after they're working on their craft after training, trying to better themselves. The desire to get either in Uruguay their families out of and here in Singapore, I feel like, okay, training's finished, I've got to go and do my other job now.
Right.
And I find that that's maybe where the gap can be shortened in a certain way.
It's probably stopping them from excelling.
It's not the fact that they're not good or they don't know. It's just that they for other reasons they cannot 100% focus on that. So
if there's one thing that you think, and it's not a thing that it's about criticism or anything, it's just being constructive, something that is lacking in our local footballers, what is it? It's just something that is,
I'd have to say the passion.
Yeah
I feel like there's some players that have it, but on a whole there's
a lack
of passion, that desire.
I think it also goes back to what you just said, that there's always something else to do.
Yeah, I feel like that, it's very hard for some of the players here that, they have to have a second job in certain places and things like that. But, I think just the passion, because to be honest, there's some very good players, very good players that you can see that you think, this guy's good.
Nice.
This guy's good. So, but that's about it.
Beautiful. Before we go, Blake, there's this thing called the quick fire round. We're going to ask some quick questions, and I think it should be easy for you. Let's start off.
Let's go.
Your favorite local food?
Chicken rice.
there's always that.
Chicken rice. It's good. It's chicken rice. Nasi lemak.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know which one to choose.
You like spicy food?
I don't mind it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I don't mind
Your favorite drink?
Like local drink?
Is there a local drink? Yeah, local drink.
I don't really drink. I just have water, but
right.
I'm not a teh tarik maybe.
Oh, teh tarik,
maybe.
Okay. Your favorite hangout in Singapore?
My favorite hangout.
Yeah, can be anything. Can be anywhere.
There's I go to this cafe in near Jurong East because that's where I am. It's called Hugs. I go just there, have a few coffees. But when I like to go out to dinner to Haji Lane.
Okay.
Haji
nice
Lane
place.
I love Haji Lane.
Beautiful.
Even when we were at Brunei, we were staying at the Village Hotel.
Okay. It's nearby.
Lane.
It's just
so that was
brilliant.
That was the best place.
Will they be here in Village Hotel as well?
I'm not sure where they're staying, but most likely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Jalan besar or TH?
Jalan besar.
Grass or artificial?
Grass.
Grass? Brilliant.
Unless it's Topayo, Hougang, any other grass.
The best stadium you played in?
The best stadium, Estadio Centenario in Uruguay, the national stadium.
Right. Brilliant.
Brilliant.
What's the capacity like there?
I think now I think I had 60,000, 70,000. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like a history, got a lot of history behind it.
Nice, nice. Tanjong Pagar, worst dressed.
Tanjong Pagar with Fatula.
Worst dressed.
Fatula.
Why?
Fatula.
Why?
He comes with some long pants that I don't know. It's just yeah. It's definitely Fatula.
Best dressed.
Best dress. Last year would have probably had to say Ryo Nishiguchi.
Yeah.
This year maybe I'll go with Naki.
Who's
Nakuden.
Nakuden,
Yeah.
Why? What was it? What is
I
it?
don't know. He's just got some nice shoes. I tell you.
From LCS. Right. Klopp, Guardiola, or you got to choose this wisely, by the way, right? Klopp, Guardiola, or Hazrin?
I just got to go with Hazrin. I got to see him tomorrow.
Nah, Klopp or Guardiola?
I'll go Guardiola.
Yep. The most skillful player at Tanjong Pagar?
The most skillful. I'd have to say now. Go with Khairul Hairi.
Khairul Hairi?
Yeah.
From Geylang?
Yeah.
Well, that's a big shout. Yeah, he's good on the ball.
Don't mind. Yeah.
Yeah. The toughest opponent in the SPL so far?
Toughest opponent. I'd have to say either Diego Lopez or Shadan. The Lion City midfield. I had a few problems with the Lion City, Lion City midfield. So, yeah.
Well, it's good to know that Shana has moved on, but you still have one to
I know. So, yeah.
Find a way, my friend.
Yeah.
Best local player in the SPL?
The best local player in the SPL, I'll go Shaki Hamza.
Shake?
Yeah.
Why?
I think he's just different to most local players.
In terms of what?
Leadership, energy, leadership, energy, and just his ability to like the tactical awareness and his ability to change a game. Like sometimes he just take the ball and he'll go forward or you make a run and things like that. So, but I think it's more of his leadership qualities as well. So yeah.
Besides you, the best foreign player in the league?
I'd have to say Diego Lopez. Diego Lopez.
He's special, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a good footballer.
Yeah.
He's very good.
The last question. This one you got to lie if you have to.
Okay.
The best podcast at the moment.
The Silverfox Hustle.
Lovely. Brilliant, my friend.
Make sure you get on and follow and like, guys.
Listen, before we go, right, your advice for young boys and girls, in Singapore, trying to be the next Blake, because listen, and people watching this at home, this guy over here, he hasn't really had it easy. Whatever you've been listening to, that's it. It's all hardship, it's trying, it's failing. I think there's more failures than anything else.
I think, yeah.
Right? So listen up, because this is important.
I feel like, obviously there's in football or in life, I think that there's a lot less positives, but those positives are so much more sweeter than, so you're going to have to go through failures, you know what I mean? But the advice would be, if someone is really wanting to do something, it's so cliche, but just stick your mind to it and just work hard. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you just got to work hard and find a way.
Yeah.
Find a way. I wasn't having luck in Australia, and I said, I'm going to find a way to make this happen. So I found a way at the end of the day, and just work hard at your craft and give it all your best.
Yeah.
And also be a good human being. That's the most important part, I guess.
Oh, that's beautiful. That is great. That's great, man. And listen, find a way and be a good person.
Be a good person. That's the main part, I guess. Absolutely
brilliant. Blake, thank you so much for being on the Silverfox Hustle podcast. Finally. And I want to wish you a very good luck this season, personally as well as for the team, and send my regards to everyone at Tanjong Pagar. They're great lads, and hopefully you guys have a good season and win something, man.
That's it. It's been a pleasure, mate. Thank you finally to be on this podcast, and I'm very happy, and all the best for everyone. So thank you.
This has been the latest episode of the Silverfox Hustle podcast. Don't forget, click on the follow button. We are on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We're everywhere, so share the love. Until the next episode, the hustle beats talent when talent doesn't hustle. Cheers.